Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to today's AI for Advisors discussion on your Move 37 moment when AI sees what you don't. I'm joined by Sean Bailey, editor-in-chief at Horse's Mouth and the leader of our Advisor AI training programs. And Sean, you've kind of teased us today talking about how the single most important story about AI isn't what you think. It's not ChatGPT or Copilot. It's actually a board game played in Seoul almost a decade ago. So fill us in. Why is that?
Yeah, so um, it was March of 2016 in Seoul, South Korea, and a guy named Lee Sadol, South Korean, who is the world champion in the board game Go. Now, Go is a 2,500-year-old game, strategy game. It's older than chess, older than calculus. And Go kind of looks simple, this board game, but by the way, it's played all over the world. And when this match happened, it was being broadcast live because he was an 18 times world champion. So anyway, if you're not familiar with Go, it's a board game. It's 19 by 19 grid, and there are black stones and white stones. So the goal isn't checkmate, it's to capture the most territory. And you win by surrounding the board, okay? Um, and so here's the thing. Uh, Go is the most complex game ever. They say there are more possible positions than atoms in the universe. Okay, that's a big claim, and I believe it. Most everybody agrees it's absolutely way more complicated than chess. And it's not really about calculation, right? It's about intuition and rhythm and flow, what Go masters refer to as Go sense. And for centuries, it was more or less considered the frontier of human intellect, right? It was too fluid and too creative for machines. But Google's DeepMind, right? These are the people at Google who were studying AI and have had numerous breakthroughs. And the head of Google's DeepMind program even actually went on to win a Nobel Prize in science. But anyway, they had built DeepMind. DeepMind had built this Go engine called AlphaGo. Okay. And the idea was that they'll create this engine AlphaGo and they'll play the world champion. Kind of similar to what Gary Kasparov and IBM and Big Blue had back in the 1990s when Big Blue beat Kasparov fairly closely, actually. So they're kind of rematch, it's kind of a rematch in a way, the computer versus the smartest player of something. In this case, it's the much more complicated game of Go, right? And so I think they played a 5-match series, 4 or 5 match series, but AlphaGo won the first game, but then and it was a traditional game of the strategies were okay, and then they got into game two, and for the first 36 moves in game two, things seemed to be familiar. There were sort of classic openings and safe positions and typical human logic that is used in a Go game, right? Then AlphaGo played move 37, which was something called a shoulder hit. And the point about it was that the move was way far off from the action on the board. Everybody's focused down here and watching all the moves. Then Google's AlphaGo announces move 37 and it places a stone way away from the action. And people watching the game, at first they completely froze. Then, one commentator, because it was being broadcast all around the world, one commentator said, like, that's a mistake. No human would ever play there. Now, Lee Sedol, world champion, he's looking at what's going on. He's already been beaten once by AlphaGo in the first match. So he's staring at the board and he stands up and walks out of the room and takes a 15-minute cigarette break. Okay. Why? Because he was totally unnerved by this move and couldn't really be sure exactly what was going on. But in later interviews, he said even from the get-go, felt like he was, fighting against AlphaGo. Well, it turned out that that move was absolutely genius. It set up an attack dozens of moves into the future that nobody would have ever, thought to have played. And that was the instant. That's why this is so important. That was the instant machines stopped being merely calculators and started being creators. That's the significance of Move 37.
Okay, and that's very interesting. But how does this Go move from almost a decade ago in 2016 connect to financial advisors here and now in 2025?
Well, because I kind of feel metaphorically that every advisor is sitting right now in front of his own Move 37 moment, okay? Because more and more we're seeing every day that AI is showing us patterns in data and behavior and communication that we've never seen before. And at first, when you're working with AI and you see something that strikes you as insightful in your conversation with these AI models. It feels sometimes too good to be true. It's like, wow, holy, I can't believe that it just said that or it just did that. And it doesn't match our typical workflow, our typical playbooks for how we move about doing our work because it's one thing to go to Google and just get a search result for something that may be useful, but it's another where you're communicating with what some people refer to as a sort of digital species. It clearly is some form of intelligence, right? And so the lesson of Move 37 for advisors is, what may look odd or feel like magic today, actually becomes tomorrow's standard operating procedure in many ways. And big breakthroughs sometimes get quickly metabolized and accepted as the new workplace reality. And in this past year, we have seen in the personal finance world, the world of financial advisors, we've seen uh, a new version of Move 37.
Yeah, and of course, we recently saw the NYU Stern study where the language model was able to pass. It was the CFA level 3 exam, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. And so that is the new Move 37. We had an episode last week where we talked specifically about that, but I'm coming back to it to go down a little more deeply and casting it in the context of Move 37. So just to recap for people who didn't catch the news, researchers at NYU Stern School of Business recently completed a study where they tested 21 large language models, right? Those are the underpinning, and they're called LLMs, and those are the underpinning, architecture of ChatGPT or Gemini or any of these other AI engines. And they tested 21 of them on the level 3 certified financial analyst exam, the CFA exam, which is known to be the toughest, most judgment heavy test in finance. And for anybody who hasn't taken it, level 3 kind of is really where the rubber meets the road. It's not about memorizing formulas at that point, at that level. It's really about reasoning and judgment and communication and synthesis. And the candidates for the test are required to write long form essays. And in these essays, they're expected to be able to eloquently defend their decisions on questions that they're being tested on. So the exam will cover things like portfolio management, fixed income and derivatives, behavioral finance, ethics and professional standards, risk management, and performance evaluation. And those topics are both technical on you're being tested on both technical mastery, but also on the ability to communicate investment reasoning clearly and persuasively, right? So here are a few examples of the essay questions that are on the test in which the large language models did extremely well on. But just to give you an idea, here's one question. Recommend the portfolio that best suits the Joneses' current financial situation and justify your choice with three examples of how the portfolio meets their needs. Okay. Obviously, in that question, there had been some previous information about the Joneses' financial situation, of course. Another question. Discuss one weakness in the risk management process for each of the following companies, Company A and Company B. So you're basically being called upon to step through the risk management process based on a particular company. And then a third example would be explain the implications of a specific economic scenario on a client's investment portfolio and suggest appropriate adjustments. Okay. Those aren't problems that the AI can solve by calculating some things. They require real judgment, synthesis, and context, right? That's the key thing is context, the what is going on, the who, what, when, where, and why around the situation. These are kinds of things that we normally would believe that only a human being could bring to bear in the analysis. So when the large language models were tested, they did unbelievably well. ChatGPT's o4 mini model scored 79%. Gemini, that's Google's model, scored 76%. And guess what? The passing bar is 63. So these models didn't just compute, they reasoned, they structured arguments, and they justified their recommendations just like they were seasoned professionals. So that's why this study matters, right? It wasn't a trivia test. It was a Move 37 moment for finance. And it shows that, AI can reason, explain, and defend its position. And these are core skills of every professional advisor. Now, earlier this year, Doug, we were talking about kind of a similar thing. Back in January of 2023, just a few months after ChatGPT came on the scene, which was late November of 2022. There was an economics professor at Claremont College, and he decided in January of 2023 to put ChatGPT to the test on 14 fairly common personal finance questions, things about retirement income or managing debt or behavioral trade-offs. Things like how much money should you put down on your house at this percent rate mortgage versus another one, questions like that. And the interesting thing is that they did this study in 2023 and ChatGPT answered all of the questions extremely thoroughly and eloquently, but totally wrong. Okay. Now, they published that study in May of 2024. I didn't see it at the time, but this last spring, I came upon it in June and early June, and I looked at it and I thought, okay. They ran this test in January 2023. Well, one of the things you need to know about these large language models is that they keep issuing stronger and better improved models. And I had a hunch that, well, I had a question. I saw the Claremont College personal finance questions, and I thought, okay, well, let's run the whole thing again. As part of our AI for Advisors Pro membership program, we're preparing a lot of things for that. And so we went through all of the questions exactly like the economist from Claremont College did. And guess what? It not only got everything right, it explained things very clearly. It was able to discuss in a very nuanced way the pros and cons of some of these decisions, then ultimately making a judgment about the proper approach. And so in short, AI demonstrated, again, not just analysis, but sort of its ability to kind of be, sort of empathetic and understanding of a potential client who is dealing with some of these questions like, should I put $300,000 down on my house or should I put $250,000 down or should I take a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage? And it really demonstrated a lot of nuance in that. So, whether we're talking institutional investing or household financial planning, what we're seeing now is AI continually reaching new thresholds of reasoning and expression and in judgment. And, so that brings us back to advisors, right? What happens when the tools can already think with you and not just for you, right? They're right there by your side. What happens now?
So things are moving so fast. People can feel easily overwhelmed. But, what do you have to say to advisors who might be kind of shrugging their shoulders a little bit and waiting for this all to, settle down?
Yeah, right. The settle down approach, no good. You can't sit this one out. Things are moving very quickly. And it is important to me, and I say this all the time, that advisors, any professionals, get some, basic but important AI training. It's not, these things are not Google, okay? They're not Google search engines. You do need to know and understand how to communicate with them properly so that you get the best kinds of responses. So, when you cannot stand still right now when we're really literally seeing, exponential changes in this AI world and how it applies to our work as financial advisors, working with clients, trying to um, deliver on our value proposition to help them achieve their goals and make their lives better. And so I really don't think that advisors can risk just standing by waiting for things to settle out because we're on this hockey stick. We're on this hockey stick of exponential change, and who knows how much longer it's going to go on for. But it just doesn't make sense to me to sit it out.
So let's say an advisor has, like that world champion in Seoul. They've gotten up from the table, they've gone outside, they've had a little break, and they've now realized that they've had their own Move 37 moment. What can they actually do?
Yeah, right. That's a good question, of course. And so, I think where we're moving is we need to start develop fluency in AI. Things are moving quickly, and so you don't need to know or be on top of everything, but you need to become fluent in the kind of core approaches and frameworks that advisors who are already using AI on a regular basis are using. And so I think there's kind of three moves to what I call AI fluency, right? This is kind of like AI literacy or AI education, but I'm trying to be sort of less academic about that and just speak about it in terms of, like people have developed other skills in their career, like, getting really good at Excel, for instance, right? So anyway, we have three moves of AI fluency. And the first one is observe, find the hidden time drains. Okay. So I'm going to suggest that an advisor listening to this might want to start by seeing if you can identify repetitive work that clogs your day and start by asking AI to help you see yourself more clearly. So here is a prompt that I think someone might want to try. You're going to ask GPT this. You're going to say, here's the prompt, right? Based on what you've learned from our recent chats, identify 5 ways I could improve the way I'm using ChatGPT and running my advisory business, whether through smarter prompts, better systems, or non-AI efficiency fixes. Okay. That simple one question does two things. It gives you an external mirror on your own habits because AI will reflect back what it has observed about you. And two, it also shows how reflective AI can be when you treat it like a thinking partner. All right. So that is an example of a prompt that I think could be worth trying out. Now let's move on to move two. This is kind of the experimental phase. Just go ahead and give AI one real task a day. And so that might be something like, you have a blog and you want to put a market update. There's been a lot of volatility the last few days. And you might say, act as a skilled financial writer, draft a 200 word market update for clients who are anxious about, all of the volatility they're seeing in the market today. All right. And just, go ahead and see what AI does. Now, you could also give it another prompt. You could test out summarizing some of your meeting notes. You could load those into ChatGPT. Obviously, you're not going to have any personal identifiable information in there, but you could engage the AI in asking to help you summarize those notes and identify 3 action items and draft a follow-up email. Now, that's a common thing that a lot of people are doing. But for those who haven't gotten started yet, it's a good one. Another one might be generate 3 potential LinkedIn post ideas that connect tax loss harvesting to year-end planning. So, those are some experiments, some simple experiments that an advisor can engage in that I think will serve them well to start to get a feeling for what it's like to work with AI and kind of show you a little bit of, your own pathway to a move 37. But our third move would be to investigate. And that would be to use deep research to see what others miss. Now, deep research is not just Google search, it's not just web search. It's a particular type of semi-autonomous agent capabilities that exist within ChatGPT, within Gemini, within that's Google Gemini, with Anthropic's Claude, with Copilot. They've all have this thing called deep research, and it's a sort of next level research where you tell the agent what you want, and it doesn't just come back and print to the screen your answer. It goes off, it thinks about its own thinking, it uses its own reasoning, and develops a research plan based on your deep research prompt or your deep research request, okay? And it will go out and look at 20, 40, 30, 40, 50, 60, 200. I've seen as many as 200 sources. And it can take 10 minutes, it can take 2 hours, depending upon the topic. And so these deep research agents will go out there, look based on your prompt, look at all this information, and come back and deliver for you a highly synthesized report on whatever topic you've asked. And it will have credible sources. It will compare various viewpoints. It will give you a brief, it will give an executive summary. And depending upon the topic and how you've organized your prompt, if you're meeting with a client around whatever topic, it can even go as far as, suggesting particular types of questions you might want to ask a client who has an interest in this topic. It can do quite a lot. But let me go ahead and give you, the specifics of a deep research prompt, where we follow part of the horse's mouth power prompt framework, which is something called role task format, context, questions, and examples. Now, in this context of the deep research, we're going to do role task format context, okay? And so the role, we're telling the deep research agent, act as a senior financial researcher who specializes in retirement income planning and tax strategy for high net worth clients. Then we're going to give it its task. We say task, conduct a deep research analysis on emerging tax-efficient income strategies for retirees in high-tax states. Identify the most relevant and credible approaches currently discussed in professional and academic sources. Then we get to the format. We tell the AI, after you go back and read and collect, analyze, and synthesize all this, how do we want the semi-autonomous agent to come back and give us the report? And so format is us telling it how we want that report shaped up. And so we'll say, present your findings as a concise executive briefing with a summary of the top 5 strategies, cited sources for each from reputable journals, white papers, or major financial institutions. And then 3, a client-friendly explanation of each strategy in plain language an advisor could use in a conversation. And then the context, okay? That's the last thing. So we did role, task, format, and context. Context is super important anytime you're having a conversation with AI. That's the who, what, when, where, and why of what is going on. Why am I asking this? What do we really need? What's happening? And so the context here is assume I'm a financial advisor preparing a client education piece and want ideas that are technically accurate and easy to communicate. Prioritize actionable, compliant insights suitable for a U.S. advisory practice. And in about 15 minutes, maybe longer, you're going to have a structured, cited briefing. And that's not automation in this instance. This is augmentation because it is going to be delivering to you uh, deep and meaningful, knowledgeable and considered opinions about the topic that you've asked it to research on. So this is not like searching on Google and getting back a screen of blue links. It is, you know, organized, synthesized, carved up in a way that will give you real insight. So when advisors start running a deep research like this, they're kind of discovering their own next move 37 moment, right? And it isn't about the speed, it's about the insight. And that is the difference here. That is when we are working with a co-intelligence, when we're tapping on-demand intelligence that's being produced by these large language models, and we're using it to augment our own uh, daily activities, carrying out our job, trying to deliver value and solve problems for our clients. And when you do that, you're going to start to see patterns that no one else has seen before because you've asked a unique question of AI and it's done the deep research and it comes back and it will reveal some things to you more like a research partner, not like a, summer intern.
Yeah, and it's worth stressing that, with this third move anyway, this is investigation, right? This is using AI to think wider, and deeper than you would on your own before the
Right.
use of these tools.
Yep, exactly. It's observation, it's experiment, it's investigation. Those are the three things that I included in there, and each one compounds on the next. And the more you play these kinds of moves, the clearer your own move 37 becomes, right? I mean, that's what AlphaGo did. They taught deep Google's DeepMind outfit taught AlphaGo to play games. That's all it did. And then it learned to play games. And then it on its own went and started playing Go. And then it started playing Go against itself over and over and over again until boom, it had its own unique insight. And we see these kinds of move 37s happening all around us now. The NYU study with this CFA exam, or the Claremont College Personal Finance, where Horse's Mouth went and took their study and ran it through its paces with some different models, and boom, again, excellent. All the answers were correct. So uh, these Move 37 moments are coming more frequently, and so it's time for advisors to have, I think, their own Move 37 too.
Okay, so for advisors who want to recognize when they're having this moment, Sean, what are some clues or, signals that might, tell them you're there?
Yeah, uh, it can feel sometimes a little uncomfortable, especially if you're new to it and you haven't really had a lot of practice, and you start getting a sense that the AI and its responses to you is kind of right there with you. It's understanding what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve. And yeah, it can feel a little uncomfortable at first, but like I said, these things happen. We bring them on board, we metabolize them, make them part of our own, sort of daily workflow going forward, and start to recognize the benefits of using these AIs, particularly when you can see that they're smarter and faster and helping you find creative ways to serve your clients. So to me, the question isn't can AI replace advisors? Really, the question is, what kind of advisor will you become once you start leading AI, because that's really what it's all about, Doug. It's about advisors getting some training and some experience so that they can truly shape AI to their greatest benefit. And that's not just like 3 or 4 word Google searches on a large language model. It's much deeper. I think you've seen by the prompts above. It's totally what's known as no code coding. We're just using English language to drive these AI models. And that is something that I think really we're in this pivot moment, and every advisor is really going to need to learn how to do this. I think if they want to remain competitive and cutting edge in their business.
And so for advisors who are not going to move things along, have their move 37 moment and start to, experience these benefits, what's next for them?
Yeah, well, all year long, we've been doing our AI-powered financial advisor program. It's 2 hours, 2 hour sessions, 4 weeks in a row. It's all virtual. We just finished our last one yesterday. And uh, this is going to give you 8 hours of classroom training, virtual classroom training. I'm going to step you through how to understand how to communicate with AI, how to understand the power of what is inside ChatGPT, because that's what we use for the program. There's more than 52 settings, modes, and models. And while you don't need to understand and know how to use all of them, well, you need to know that they're there. We teach you which ones do certain things and what are going to be the most important ones to help you get the best results, right? Then we get into engaging your clients, how to use AI to prepare for client meetings, how to use AI after the client meeting is over. And then in the third week, we get into marketing, AI and marketing, a fantastic match because we know advisors are the classic too many hats, not enough time. Often marketing has suffered. Now AI comes along, massively compresses the amount of time it takes to get something done competently in the field of marketing. And so we're going to show you how to leverage AI to do that as well. And so all this comes together in a 4 week program. Everybody who's gone through it, we've had nothing but glowing reviews because people, the way they work is being changed literally during the course of the class. So I think our next AI-powered financial advisor program starts November 20th. I think we take a week off for Thanksgiving, and then we have 3 more sessions after that. It finishes in mid-December. It's a great time of the year and a great opportunity to get powered up on AI, so you can go into 2026, ready to learn how to leverage AI in a manner that is going to benefit you and your clients. So if people want to learn more about that, then go to horsesmouth.com/AI. That puts them on the page. Get signed up for our November 20th start program. I think it's the 20th, Doug. So don't
Yep.
wait, folks, because AI isn't waiting on you. So it's important that everybody, I think, step forward now and start engaging around AI.
And so for those listening, maybe not viewing the video, you can go to horsesmouth.com/AI to find out all the information about the upcoming program. Okay, Sean, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Take care,
Okay,
everyone.
great. Bye, everybody.